All right, on today's episode of Python Papi, we're back inside our smart contracts project. Let's have a look at what we're going to be going over today. And we're still inside of our Web3Py favorites module. We're actually going to be starting a new module today, or a new portion of the module, which is going to be the transactions. So we're actually done with the project introduction, which we finished yesterday. I showed you how we actually installed it, Anvil, how we actually initialized it, how we actually ran it, and how we used it to deploy our smart contracts. So in this section, we will learn about transactions in Ethereum and how they are used to transfer value and execute smart contracts. We will also learn about the different types of transactions and how they are processed by the Ethereum network. A transaction is a signed data package that contains the information needed to transfer value or execute a smart contract on the Ethereum network. Now that we finally have our favorite contract object, how we can actually deploy it. To deploy this contract, we must build a transaction that contains the bytecode of the contract and send it to the Ethereum network. The transaction must be signed with the private key of the account that is deploying the contract. The transaction will be processed by the Ethereum network, and the contract will be deployed on the blockchain. This is how we will learn about transactions and how to create and send them in the Ethereum network. Now, this will be one of the few times we will manually create a transaction, as most of the time we'll be using a library called the Web3.Py to handle the transaction creation and sending it for us. Now, if we go to ethereum.org website, we can see that a transaction is defined as a transaction is a signed data package that contains the information needed to transfer value or execute a small contract on the Ethereum network, as I stated earlier. We will also see that a transaction contains the following information: the sender's address, the recipient's address, the amount of the ether to be transferred, the data to be sent to the contract, if any, the gas limit, gas price for the transaction, the nonce of the sender's account. Let's move down a little bit more. See what else we have here. We at the nonce of the sender's account, the signature of the transaction, the chain ID of the network, the transaction type, the access list, the max fee per gas, the max priority fee per gas, the base fee per gas, the transaction hash, the transaction receipt, the transaction logs, the transaction status, the transaction block number, the transaction block hash, the transaction timestamp, the transaction gas needed or used, etc., etc. There's a lot of information we want to get inside of our contract, depending on how big it is, how much information the contract contains. So yeah, we're going to be diving into that. And that's why I didn't stick around and show you what the actual deployment looked like when we deployed it yesterday using the UV run deploy favorites.py. That's because we're going to actually start going over that particular session in this part of the module here. And this module is going to be a project. What is a transaction? So yeah, stay tuned for that. But of course, I will keep you posted every step of the way. But for now, this is the Python Papi. You guys stay Gucci.